I want him to be part of the fund.
Okay, well, no, we're not up. All right, we're up now. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this call to order the Planning Commission. Mr. Slade, would you mind doing the invocation for us?
Father, thank you for another opportunity we have to come together to consider the business of the county, Lord, to think about the things that are important to our citizens. Father, first and foremost, we want to thank you for the many blessings that you've bestowed on us and how you have graciously and bountifully provided for us. We give you the praise. We give you the credit, Lord. I pray, Father, that you'll give these men the wisdom, help them to understand what is in the best interest of our citizens. Father, I pray that you would guide our thoughts and our speech today, Lord, that it would be pleasing to you. And Lord, we pray for those who are protecting us and providing for our liberties. I pray, Father, that you will preserve them, that you'll bring them home safely. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Okay. Let's see, what do we got here? Huh? Yeah, Planning Commission. I don't have anything on it here. Oh, I don't have anything up there. It's on the paper. Okay. All right. First, we have consideration and approval of April 28th, 2016 minutes.
So move.
Second.
All right. Motion approved by Mr. Morrow.
Second.
Oh, okay.
You got a second?
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Okay. Old business.
Okay, the first item under old business is a review of a hearing that's scheduled for Monday, June the 6th. It's for Robert Wall Jr. It's a dimensional variance request at 569 7th Day Road. The property is located on the north side of 7th Day Road. It's a 1-acre parcel. It's zoned RE1A. Mr. Wall was previously approved by administrative review to place a 14 by 55 manufactured home on this property. He has since determined that he's unable to meet the front setback of 30 feet due to an existing home that's on the property. He plans to tear the home down in the future. This is his site plan. It shows the location of the manufactured home and the existing home. At the closest point, he's 17.4 feet from the front property line, and he's requesting a variance of 12.6 feet from that front setback. This is a view of that property. This is the existing home that will be torn down in the future. And then these are just surrounding properties. That property was posted, and the notice of the hearing was published in the paper, and we've received no calls.
In fact, you can't even see it from the road. It sets way back. Okay.
Okay, the next item is a review of a conditional use permit for Sunny Betty at 105 Jack's Place. The property is located on the southwest corner of Old Fannin Road and Jack's Place. It's a .65 acre parcel, and it's zoned C2. He's requesting the conditional use permit to construct a 2,715 square foot convenience store. This is an aerial view of that property. This is a preliminary site plan. Mr. Betty is wanting to see if he can be approved for this use before he purchases the property. He shows the location of the C-store at the back of the lot. He shows some stormwater detention at the front. He'll be required to come back for a site plan architectural review with more detailed drainage information and elevations. He's just wanting to make sure he can be approved for the use before he moves forward with any more detailed drawings.
Heard from any of your neighbors down the street?
Hadn't heard from any of them on that, but this was wasn't this previously approved several years ago, and it just kind of either changed ownership or turned over at some point, or
years ago, his parents owned the property.
Right.
Before zoning was adopted, they obtained a building permit to construct a convenience store, but they never started any work. And so now
that the zoning's in place, he's got to go back through the process.
I've heard rumors you're going to get some pushback from your neighbors down the street, so, but that's fine.
Well, the property's been posted and the notice published, and we've not gotten, we've just received an inquiry, but no other, no calls in opposition or anything.
Okay.
All right, this
New
is a
consideration,
view.
yeah. Go ahead, new considerations.
This is a view of the property from Old Fannin. This is a view of that property from Jack's Place. And these are surrounding properties.
Is it not going,
Right, what you see right there behind that, is that, that's the Pump It Up
This.
place
yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
industrial place over there. So it's right in front
So
of that,
it's
basically.
going to be in the front?
It's across
And
on the
that- and that
opposite
big lot.
corner.
Yeah,
Like a good place.
corner. But there's nothing right there
I
in
know,
that area. But
right. Huh. Yeah,
I'll write
because
your time in all
the pawn
those
shop's
things.
right down the road, isn't it?
I mean, almost touching it, close to it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You got
Be an
that,
improvement to
you
me.
got several other little commercial buildings that are sitting right there in that area.
I'd like it'd be an improvement.
So-
Okay, new considerations?
We just need to set that hearing.
Oh,
No, I'm sorry,
no,
I'm
right.
sorry.
I didn't think
was
so.
confused, sorry.
Right.
All right, new considerations. The first item is a conditional use permit for Clifton Rogers Jr. at 252 Clover Valley Boulevard. The property is located on the east side of Clover Valley Boulevard. Mr. Rogers owns a total of 295 acres. It's zoned RE1. This is an aerial view of the property. He's requesting the conditional use permit to operate his tree service business on this property. There's an existing shop building on the property right now. You can see the shop on his site plan. My pointer is no longer working, so anyway, there's the shop, the existing shop. He plans to park 6 trucks on the property and equipment. He will also service his trucks at this location. This is a view of that existing shop. So we do need to set the hearing for this.
How we on the buildings on this place, are all those, do they all meet the code and requirements now?
Well, the events, the lodge, does not at this
Okay.
time, but he's getting architectural drawings and he's going to start the process to bring the building up to code.
Like these other outbuildings, what?
We haven't permitted or done any inspections. He'll be required to come and get permits on everything, and, we'll check it at that time.
This is really separate, though. I mean, this is another deal, isn't it?
It
I mean,
is.
This wouldn't be combined with the others.
No, he's
Yeah.
asking for a different
Right.
use of a portion of that property.
Right.
Just getting the zoning right
Mhm.
for the uses correct. That's requested.
Have a motion to set a public
Second.
hearing?
Second.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Gaines.
Second.
Second, Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
All right, the next item is a conditional use permit for Clifton Rogers Jr. at 621 Mount Helm Road. The property is on the north side of Mount Helm. It's a 15-acre parcel that's zoned RE1. Mr. Rogers has submitted a conditional use application requesting a review of the previously approved conditional use permit that was issued on March 7th of 2011. He's requesting that we amend the first conditional use to allow chipping and grinding of vegetative debris for recycling. He has a contract with Georgia Pacific and Monticello to haul the wood chips there. This is an aerial view of that property. And you'll remember that we had a pending violation because debris, wood waste was dumped on this property. And at the last meeting, you advised him to get it cleaned up and remove all of that and take it to a landfill. These pictures indicate that that has been done.
Yeah, I'd say he's made a big step.
I was on that road yesterday, and Mr. Rogers, who has all the debris? It's either on your property or very close. There was a tremendous amount of logs and.
Oh, that's big.
He's allowed.
The big property.
And he's allowed to chip and grind, but he does it
He needs to hurry up.
periodically, you know.
It's, he has gotten behind, I would say.
Okay, well, we can contact him.
Okay, that's
Okay.
not you.
No,
Okay. I moved to set it.
Okay. Motion sets the public hearing. Mr. Gaines,
Second.
second Mr. Cross. Any more discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, the last item is a rezoning request by James Bro on Holly Bush Road. The property is located on the north side of Holly Bush. It's a 1-acre parcel that's currently zoned P1. He's asking to go to C3. This is just an aerial view, and we've labeled the property with the zoning. Parcels north and west of this property are currently zoned C3, and property across the street on the south side of Holly Bush Road is also zoned C3. He has a buyer who is proposing to construct a convenience store, restaurant, and retail space for lease.
How many convenience stores can we sustain? There is
This is a view of a separate 1-acre parcel that's currently zoned C3. I think the proposed buyer is interested in buying this piece and also the piece that he's asking to change from P1 to C3. This is a view of that parcel. And then these are surrounding properties. Property to the east of this is zone P1. So there would be a buffer between it and the residential area created, by that P1.
To me, and I've looked at this also, there is a convenience store on the other side of 25. And in the mornings and the evenings, you have to wait in line to get gas. So there is there's a tremendous amount of people that want to get out of Jackson or Flowood before they stop and get gas to get out of that traffic, but then they get there and they're clogged up. I would say set. I think it's probably something we need.
Gonna set a public,
Yeah.
make a motion to set the public hearing by Mr. Gaines.
Second.
Second, Mr. Cross. Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? This was your day on new considerations, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, site plan architect's review.
All right, the first item is a site plan for Scottish Hills Clubhouse. This property is located actually between the old section of Scottish Hills and that new phase on Highway 471. The area shown in red is the approximate location for the clubhouse and the pool. This is an aerial view. It's on Adair Street, and when this is put in, it will connect the old section of Scottish Hills with that new phase on Highway 471. It's going to be approximately 1,120 square feet. These are the elevations. It's a brick exterior with a shingled roof. The floor plan shows a bathroom area and then a covered open space where they'll have tables and seating. This is just the site plan showing the location of the building and the pool on the property. Mr. Parker has reviewed the drainage information and approved that. And Kyle Brown is here today if you have any questions about anything.
I have a question in general. I know municipalities have an architect on contract or however they do it to review proposed buildings and stuff like that to make sure it all kind of flows and stuff like that. Do we do that, or is that just strictly you guys do it and then we make it, Buster takes care of the drainage issues, or how we approach it?
Basically, and then you
Kind of like this
approve
convenience store on Old Fannin. Or anybody else take a look in the eyes at it to kind of make sure it all flows, or we just kind of...
Other than us and the board, no, sir. This is just a view of that area. This is from the new section. You can see the old section where that street will connect.
You have to approve it.
Site plan review, no, just reviewing it.
We need a motion.
Kyle,
No,
you
we
gonna
need-
use the
we need
swim-
an
Are
approval.
you gonna use the
Just
swimming pool, Kyle?
Approve to move forward.
Okay, I'm for it.
Approve
Need
for
any
it.
action from us or just go?
Yeah, we'll just approve it. All right,
Need action from us.
Yeah, to
So,
approve.
yeah, I'll make that
Approve.
motion. Yep.
all right. Motion approved, Mr. Cross,
Second.
second, Mr. Morrow. Any more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is a site plan architectural review for Heartwood Lumber at 335 Mangum Drive. This is their site plan. It shows the existing facility there and also the new lumber storage building. It's approximately 4,200 square feet. That property is zone C3. It's going to be used for storage only. There's not going to be any plumbing or electrical at this time. It's, let's see. This is just their floor plan. It's just basically an open storage building. And then these are the elevations. It's going to be a metal building. The front elevation shows a cypress post and beam covered entry and 4 feet of synthetic stone along the bottom. This is a view of the existing facility. This is the proposed location for the new building. The parking area that's shown on the site plan is gravel and slag, is shown here. And these are surrounding properties.
Which is, yeah, there's quite a bit of difference between the church and that. And that's, yeah.
Post office.
Any idea what the old grain bins are used for?
Yeah.
Mr.
Stores, yeah.
They still use it?
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Glass is here if y'all have any questions for him. Mr. Parker's reviewed the drainage here also, and he's good with it.
Yeah.
If y'all have-
I mean, you guys ask any questions you want, but I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by myself, second, Mr. Morrow. Any more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, the last item is an architectural review for IMN LLC at 123 Jack's Place. Warren Brandon with Homewell Construction has been hired to make repairs to the west end of this building. The east and the west end of the building have a brick parapet wall. There's a leak on the west end of the building, which has caused that office space to be unusable. He's proposing to demo the parapet wall on the west end only and replace it with a gable end. He plans to install brick to the eave line and hardy plank lap siding on the gable. The east end of the building that faces Old Fannin Road is not going to be changed. Mr. Brandon's here today if you have any questions. Now this is just an example of a gable roof. Warren had sent a different picture and I couldn't get it to work, so we went out and got our own, and hopefully it's pretty close. But this is what the both ends look like. This faces Old Fannin, and then this is the end that faces the subdivision, Jack's Place.
So the parapet wall facing Old Fannin will stay intact, and the parapet wall facing the subdivision will now have the gable roof on it.
That's correct. That's what he's proposing. He's here if you have any questions.
Let's see how it looks after.
Looks good to me.
It may not be noticeable, and if the convenience store is approved, it's going to be in front of this building, between Old Fannin and this building, so it would block that view.
Yeah, approve.
It's good with me, yeah.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Cross.
Second.
Second, Mr. Gaines. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Next, we have nuisance properties.
Good morning, gentlemen. We will open up and continue the nuisance consideration for the Timothy Hall nuisance violation, 120 Rankin Road. That hearing is open. I'll ask if Mr. Hall or anyone on Mr. Hall's behalf is present today. Timothy Hall. Renee, if you'll walk us back through, this is a continuation of an existing nuisance consideration.
Right. This is the one on Rankin Road where the house burned, and Mr. Hall had gotten help from one of the local churches. They had said they would clean everything up except for the old house on the property that burned because it's going back to the bank. It's in foreclosure. And so they've pretty much done that.
Well,
It looks a lot better than it did.
I would ask that we acknowledge that what we were told by the church and representatives of the church they were going to do, they've done. And we can close that public hearing and just ask our staff to continue to monitor to be sure that it stays in a kept-up condition.
Okay.
We'll close that public hearing, and that matter will be, that'll be off of our schedule from now on.
We'll just keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye on it, yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Next item, item B, is a continuation of the Larry Elliott 144 Webb Circle nuisance consideration, District 1 property. I'll ask if there's anyone here, if either Mr. Elliott or anyone on behalf of Mr. Elliott is here. I don't see anyone here on that matter. This is a continuation. I'll ask Renee to demonstrate for us.
Okay, this is a similar circumstance. A house burned on this property as well. We had received complaints for several years. We finally made contact with someone, and they started cleanup. It's much better as well. However, there are a few items still there. But I'm not sure how much more, we're going to accomplish. We're not getting any more complaints from the neighborhood, so.
I'd like to see it cleaned up, though. I mean, what's left there, go and clean it up, be done with it.
Yeah, and maybe they will,
Yeah.
Jared, if I may suggest, let's go ahead and declare it a nuisance and have Renee then armed with the ability to move it up to Justice Court, but continue to work with whomever we can
We
make
ain't got
contact
one
with.
trailer load left, just clean it up.
Exactly, very little left to do.
Yeah.
If she has the ability, though, to push it up, it might incentivize them to go and get it done.
Okay.
So that would be my suggestion
Yeah.
for action to take.
That's the motion I'd like to make, this declared a nuisance.
Second.
Motion by myself, second Mr. Cross. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? They've made great headway, I can understand why the community is pleased, but I'm sure they're sitting there thinking, we'll go ahead and get it cleaned on up now.
Right.
So, that's great.
The
All right.
next item is a continuation of the Kimberly and Robert Howell, 325 Cedar Hill Drive, District 3 property. I'll ask if there's anyone here, either Mr. and Ms. Howell or someone on their behalf. Anyone? Okay, again, this is a continuation of a hearing we've already opened. So Renee, if you'll help us here.
The Howells were present at the last meeting on April the 28th. They indicated they would continue to work on the property, but we haven't seen much progress since that time. These pictures were taken yesterday. This is at Cedar Ridge subdivision.
I make a motion we declare it a nuisance and move it on up to JP Court.
Second.
Okay, motion declares a nuisance, Mr. Morrow, second Mr. Cross. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Okay, that's the end of that. No more there, so it will set our next meeting will be held Thursday, June 30th, 2016, 9 o'clock. Have a motion to recess.
So move.
Motion to recess by Mr. Morrow, second Mr. Gaines. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we'll move on into our call to order the meeting, Rankin County Board of Supervisors work session. I'll start with Vector Control, please, Brandon Cobb. That's public comments.
Good morning, thank you for having us. Just wanted to update you on what we've been doing this season since we started up. We actually started around the last week of March, but we started putting out surveillance equipment traps first week of April, and it continued up until now, still doing. Going out larviciding, checking for standing water. And fortunately this year there's been a lot better drainage because of all the rains we've had. So we're seeing a lot fewer larvae throughout the county. Unfortunate side effect of all the rains is haven't been able to do as much work as far as the spray trucks as we usually do. Like last summer, we had a bit of a drought and we were chasing our tails busy. It's kind of started off slow, but everything is flowing and growing naturally. We've had several service calls where people called on us to come check their property for larvae and mosquitoes, and done some backpack spraying while we were there, or larviciding, whatever was needed. We're moving right along. The mosquito population is starting to grow, but it has been down during April and May. We're starting to see signs this week. Actually, the traps we set this week have started growing in number a little bit, but we have been out spraying and have sprayed the entire county about twice since the 1st of April, doing spots either where the trap surveillance has shown us or where people have called and asked for us to come on out because of the mosquitoes they've seen are being on the porch.
Right.
We've tried to educate some people on how to protect themselves from being bitten, and West Nile and Zika viruses, and cleaning up their property, any kind of standing water, buckets, pots, that sort of thing. And everything's going on schedule and going well. We haven't had any problems. Do y'all have any questions for me?
No, I just know that no phone calls means something as good as news. And I've not been getting any, so you're obviously doing something right, and we appreciate it.
We're trying. We like working with Rankin County, and the people here are real nice, and y'all staff and stuff has worked with us, and it's gone real well. We're really enjoying it.
Well,
And Ms. Janice has my contact number. If y'all have any questions, complaints, problems, you get in contact with me 24/7. If I'm asleep, I'll call you later.
all right, appreciate you coming and giving us a little update, and like I say, just keep working together, and we won't have any problems. We have these good meetings every time.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Mr. Bill Roberts. He's going to talk to us about radio towers, contract and pagers. He has a wealth of knowledge.
Yes, sir. Good morning. How y'all doing? Just a couple of things I wanted to update you on. Good news on the monitoring of the radio towers. That's covered under your new contract. So that's a good thing. The new radio system that's in is monitored 7/24 now. So we're on call 7 days a week. Motorola is tied into the network from the Network Operations Center in Chicago. So currently, you have a warranty. The system's under warranty. Part of that warranty, that's a 2-year warranty on the initial system, and that is covered. So the system is being monitored. There's no additional cost for that. So I want to go ahead and get that, let you know that's covered. I want to hand this out on the siren system. Copy for everybody here. Let's see if Jay's not here.
Thank you.
In 1995, the initial sirens went in, and we're up to, there were let's see, we had a total when we started. We got up to, we're at 38 now. Okay, 2 of those sirens were moved and relocated, but there's a total of 38 warning sirens. There are 2 that you activate, one at State Hospital and one at Huntsville. Okay, so those are activated by Rankin County. You have 2 activation points at the EOC and at the SO. So, I had worked with Bob, and one thing to consider was putting the sirens, under a maintenance contract. And I've got some budgetary numbers. They're budgetary numbers for consideration of the next, budget year for the board to consider for putting the siren system under maintenance. And I'll leave that with you. But one thing that we're trying to do, if you'll notice on the paperwork, is we've had our guys, even though it's not under maintenance now, we've gone out And we try to keep up. Since 2012, we've kept up with the batteries. Two most common failures on a siren are the drivers or the batteries. So if you get a call from the public and they say that their siren didn't go off, that's going to be one of the two things that happen. Okay, it'll be a battery failure or a speaker or a driver failure. So anyway, as we've gone out since 2012, we've tried to keep up with the age of the batteries, and we would recommend that every 4 years that these batteries are changed out. So that's what we've been trying to do for the county, and we've been working with Bob at DOC to let them know, the age of these batteries. So we would recommend that, but again, as part of a maintenance contract, what we would do is there would be annual PMs on all the sirens. Obviously, they would, we would respond 7/24, and this would cover all parts and labor if the sirens were put under contract. So that's just for your consideration. We wanted to go over that just to get it out to the board.
You said these batteries should be changed every 4 years?
We would recommend that.
That
But
means-
I would say this, an annual PM, which would be part of a contract, you can get a bad battery.
Yeah.
You can get a bad battery. The gel cell batteries are better than the lead acid batteries. So what the board, since I've been, with Jackson Com, we've been changing out to gel cell batteries over the last several years. Cost a little more, but they're more reliable and they last longer.
It looks like about 90% of these are worn out then, or the batteries are probably getting close to being dead. Is that right?
Some of them are, and this sheet actually needs some updating. You notice we started keeping up with this in 2012. There's some of these, and we're working on an updated list now. Some of these have been updated, but where you see gel cell, and if you look at the date on that, put 4 years on that.
That's what I was doing. It looked like
Yeah.
out of 41, there wasn't but like 5 of them that weren't more than 4 years old.
Right.
So
Right. So anyway, that's why we're coming to you now. Like I said, it's just a good practice. Like I said, that's 90%. If you have a siren failure, it's going to be a driver or a battery. 90% of the time. That's what we find. And if it's not looked at on a monthly basis, it's hard to know if the batteries are working. But anyway, that's something I wanted the board to consider. Just to go ahead and get it out. I'll leave some numbers with you. The other thing was to talk about the paging system. This would be for the fire departments. I know we've been discussing this. Carl with Motorola, he's unable to be here today, so I wanted to discuss that. Obviously, and Bob, I'd given, where'd Bob go? There he is. So I'd given Bob some numbers and for the board to consider. Motorola had been proposing to take the paging system back to a voice paging system, taking the 5 existing sites, doing some upgrades there, adding the transmitters, and that would allow for voice paging throughout the county. So, you've been paying a maintenance contract each year for the radio system. Since the new radio system has gone in, there has been some savings, and I'd have to defer to Laura. I know there's been some, where there was a total amount, there were some deductions made there since the new system came in. So, but anyway, I know Motorola had lessened that because the new system went in, so you couldn't keep charging
Right.
for maintenance. So there was some cost savings there. But for consideration, I had given Bob some numbers. I know that the paging upgrade that we've been discussing, wasn't in the current budget. But one thing that we went to Motorola and worked was a lease proposal that if the county wanted to move forward and go ahead, and we're talking about a 45 to 90-day project to get the new voice paging in, they would do a lease proposal and defer the payments till 2017, June 2017. So the paging system could go online, but it would move out beyond the October budget before any payments would be made. So I've given Bob those numbers, and if you wanted to move forward, prior to the next budget year, then Motorola would set up, tax exempt lease purchase, and the system could be put in, and then on or about June, July 2017, then you would have a payment due on it. You could pay it in full at that time, or you could stretch it out. And Bob's got all those numbers, relative to the terms.
Well, we could do that, and if we did that, then go ahead and get them moving and get them in operation.
Right.
Instead of waiting.
Right.
And then it start all over then, so.
Right.
I don't know. Sounds like something to consider for sure.
And it's about, like I said, we're expecting less than 90 days. If the board moved and, signed the contract with Motorola, it would be, less than 90 days to have. It's 361 pagers, for the volunteer fire departments. And then that would be upgrading at all the radio sites for the voice paging. So Bob's got the lease numbers, and I would, if he's got the packet, if you could got the packet to hand that out to the board, you can see the numbers on that. But basically, if the contract was signed, like I said, it would be 1 year from contract initiation. Then you can pay it off. You can pay it off already. And what we were hoping was that, I don't mean to hit you up with this, but some of the savings too from the maintenance contract that was not paid could help offset some of that too. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna give it to you.
I know we paid 10% on the maintenance contract. I know as of October when I got the numbers back, so we're 10% into the cost of the maintenance that we had agreement on the old system. I don't know if we've made another payment since then, but going over the budgetary figures, I know we're 10% into it. But this would be, and I'd have to get with Ms. Laura to firm up the numbers exactly on how much is left on the maintenance contract. If you wanted to apply that to this, would be another option. I don't know, we'd have to change the numbers with Motorola on their presentation if y'all wanted to apply the maintenance savings back into the purchase of the pager. But that's, a consideration.
Why wouldn't we?
Well,
Seems like
all I need is a word from you guys to give me some advice on which direction you want me to go in, and I'll start getting after it. Or if y'all want to do it.
It's something we'll talk about Monday, right?
we can talk.
Can we add it to the agenda on that?
We could.
I just want to read about it over the weekend.
All right.
Yes, if y'all want to take it up on it.
Yeah.
You can look at the numbers as well.
You can check that.
Have our discussion on Monday. There's no critical element to act today, so.
That was just discussion today.
Yeah.
Jay went back to the 13th.
It's just something we can put maybe just for discussion. You can kind of give us a proposal on.
You guys update us, yeah.
Let us know Monday where you think
and
it can work out. What's the
we'll
better options for us?
Wait till Jay gets
And
back.
then we'll take action on the,
13.
yeah, whenever he's back.
I got discussion.
That's fine.
All right.
That'll work. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
All right, we got one more,
I didn't read it.
supposed to be public comment. It's not made it here yet. So let's move on. When she comes here, we'll back up, move on to Mr. Slade.
Yes, sir.
We'll table discussion number A until a later date, Mr. Slade, that's all right with you.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do what now? You want to
We'll
wait?
table A, because I haven't got all my information from the Water Association yet, so.
Oh, okay. All right, well,
Right, that
Let's
slims
go.
my section down, doesn't it? Item B is a discussion of the Old Fannin Road utility relocation downtime charges. Just, I'm going to do the best I can to kind of get you guys up to speed on a project that predates three of our guys sitting up here right now. You're familiar with it. It's the Old Fannin Road project. And that project still has a small part of it that remains open, and it has to do with an issue that resulted from delays in the project during the course of the project that relate to utility relocation. Without getting too deep into the weeds, this project was somewhat unique in that it involved a cooperative agreement between Rankin County and the city of Flowood with respect to the utilities along the right-of-way for expanded Old Fannin. The agreement called for sort of a division of labor as it relates to the operation of the utility relocation. Flowood took that part of the project and worked through its engineers to develop plans, specifications, and other things that relate to utility relocation segments of the project. Now, some of what I'm telling you may not be, from an engineering standpoint, technically. So there's engineers back here who will probably make noises when I get a little out of whack on this. But just from a general layman's explanation, Flowood and its engineers had a portion of the project that deal with utility relocation. The county and Mr. Parker, through engineering service, and his staff worked the road right-of-way section. Now, those things overlapped as the project moved forward. You had road construction ongoing as utilities were being relocated. And as a part of that mishmash of operations, what you had was some who were working on utility relocation, lack of a better way to explain it, got in the way of those working on the road project. Or utilities were discovered during the process of the project to have been laid in such a way that it required that they be relocated again because they were in the way, if that makes sense. Some were laid, there are various ways of priority of moving these things around. Some utility providers would go in and find that a particular utility had laid their services where they shouldn't have. This resulted in delays of finding utilities or having utilities located after they had already been relocated. And so you've got a vendor who has made a request of the general contractor, we want to be paid for our stand around wait time while we're waiting on things that wasn't our fault, that utilities were in the wrong place and it caused us to have to sit and wait. They want to be paid for that downtime. A good bit of study and analysis has gone on, primarily by as a cooperative process between City of Flowood's engineers and our engineers, try to figure out what is, before we get to anything that has to do with who should pay for what is the legitimate amount of time and other costs that can be associated with this activity that I'm telling you about. So there was a request to be paid an amount. We had that amount studied. That amount was reduced to a more realistic amount. That information was provided to the vendor. The vendor said, yeah, that looks fine. And so now we are finally at a place where we have an amount of money, and there is this now discussion who should be made to pay for this. City of Flowood has come forward and said, yes, we bear some responsibility for this, but we don't bear all of the responsibility, and they have made the suggestion that they're willing to make a contribution towards that. Mr. Miller is not here, so I'm not sure exactly how to state that. I don't want to speak on behalf of the city. At any rate, they have acknowledged that there may be some responsibility there.
Okay.
The county's deal in this is we've looked at it 9 ways to Sunday, and we have studied it, and our position has been, and this goes back to the prior board, okay, so, and the position of the board at that time was it may be somebody's fault, but it's not the county's fault.
I like that.
That's our position. We took the position that the real culprits in this are the utilities themselves that chose to lay their utility infrastructure within an area in a manner that created problems. They took the easy way out Instead of getting in the back of the right-of-way, out of the way, they chose to just lay it right slam in the middle of everything else. So you had water line infrastructure in the way, you had heavy power lines in the way, you had gas infrastructure in the way, you had some of the, what I'll call lighter use infrastructure, things like cable, digital, those kinds of users. It was just.
But the right-of-way was identified clearly.
It was clearly identified on the plans, and this is an important part of this. The locations for the utilities on the plans was clearly delineated. And so what you had was utility providers who placed their infrastructure in a manner that did not reflect the way that they should have been laid.
Well, was it outside the right-of-way?
Help me. It was inside the right-of-way, but
you had two different situations. You had inside right-of-way issues, and you had outside the right-of-way in easement issues. But nonetheless, all these utility providers were given a set of construction drawings before they even got started, showing where road construction was going, showing where water and sewer was supposed to go. And the question they asked us, could we get inside the right-of-way and or the easement? And they were told, you see where our construction is, you have space to get into the backside of the right-of-way or the backside of the easement. Make something, do it that way to not interfere with our road construction or utility construction. And that was the deal that was made. And when they go out there and relocate, like Mr. Slay has said, they get smack down in the middle in the way of everything, and which is what was caused the delay to the contractor.
Well,
so in other words, somebody had to come out and find it's not where it's supposed to be according to the plans. You can imagine they're out there. Here's the plans. It ought to be here. It's not here. Where is it? So they have to get somebody out there to find out where is it. All right. So and that takes time, and that causes delays. And so you got a contractor who's sitting there ready to go, who's now sitting on the side of the road waiting for somebody to come locate utilities that ought to have been in the right place and weren't. So ultimately, legally, who is responsible? Ultimately, legally, the utilities that fail to follow the instructions are ultimately responsible. This is the problem. The vendor does not have a contract or other agreement with the utilities to do something right. He has a contract through the general contractor, Mr. Turnage, Southern Rock, with the county to provide the service. He's there to provide the service for the county under the contract that Mr. Turnage has, and he cannot do his work. Okay? And so his argument is, I realize that it may not necessarily be the county's fault, but it's ultimately the county's responsibility to control the project.
Right.
You follow the legal discussion that we have here. So the vendor is in a box, the general contractor's in a box. They are looking for reimbursement for these legitimate expenses that everybody's agreed this is an amount that reflects what the man's costs are, but who is ultimately responsible. So they've come to us, in essence, saying, it may not be your fault, county, but we have a contract with you and we have damages. You assert, you go after the utilities to get what is owed. In the meantime, don't make us pursue that angle. You pay us under the contract, and then you pursue the utilities.
Right.
All right? Y'all follow the line of argument. So here we are again before you guys saying, this is where we are, and we need some direction from the board. Should we reimburse? I'd like for Jake, if you don't mind, just give us the numbers so these guys have.
That's what I've been waiting on, that bottom line.
Okay. The number. Excuse me. Jake Keys with Engineering Service. The costs that we have calculated so far are a total, and I'm going to give you the overall number of $96,939.35. Now, the city so far has said that they would take on $39,280.33, which leaves the remaining $57,659.02 out there.
And that's the division of the numbers, the money
Out there
right
to
there.
who?
Sir?
Which utilities are that will make up that other 57 or 59?
Well, we have that broken down. It could be, some of it can be, we didn't necessarily go say, well, energy's worth 12,000.
Yeah, no, it's a group. Who are it? Energy and
It's
and water-
Energy, Inline was out there in the way, AT&T was out in the way, Atmos was in the way. I mean, you 2.5 miles of a very complicated road that some may have been here, some may have been there. It was just sporadic all the way through the project on both sides of the road.
If we decide to pursue it, Mr. Slade, is this when we get into litigation?
I don't know that it necessarily has to get into that, Mr. Morrow. Each of the utilities that you just heard named oftentimes will approach the county for various things.
Yeah.
Access to right-of-way and other things, and issues of how we might be able to get some help for this boo-boo can certainly be discussed at that time. I would suggest, though, that we have a limited time to pursue those because of statute's limitation, but that would be my suggestion. If the board wants to pursue litigation, it certainly can, and would have a claim that could be presented. I'll tell you that it's a difficult factual issue,
Well-
because the minute you get into litigation, Jared, you're going to have Entergy saying, wait a minute, we did exactly what we were supposed to do, or we called and asked, or we had someone out there, and you're going to get into
Right.
factual issues that will make the proof difficult, but certainly we can invite them to think about it with us and address it at strategic times in the future.
At what point, though, is the dollar value versus worth the, how's it going, worth the fight? I mean,
Oh.
the expense is going to be.
Yes, and certainly there would be no ability at all that I'm aware of to recover legal costs associated
Right.
with pursuing the claim. So that's a different issue as well.
We're looking at
I
what,
would suggest, yeah.
about $60,000.
Well, I would expect that the city of Flowood is going to want to be reimbursed as well, so it's probably in the neighborhood of a $100,000 claim.
But reimburse.
City of
By
Flowood's
us?
going to step up and pay $37,000
If
of
we
the
pay.
total
Right,
claim.
right. So
it's-
we're
it's
leaving about.
It's a global claim.
We're leaving about 60 that we would
Yes,
be paying.
county's recovery amount would be about 60 of that.
Right.
That there's no question that the vendor was damaged as a result of what you've heard. So that's a legitimate claim. But
Well, I
we
hate,
would,
I hate to give in, but I don't see where it's going to be worth. I don't think we're going to get anything out of the utility companies, and unless one was to come in here real soon and ask for some easement. I just don't know. I mean, I guess it's worth sending them a letter.
Are you able to break down the rest of it, or is it just going to be too complicated?
You have that
to-
broke down.
I've got, the way I did the spreadsheet was, I'm Jeff Green, I'm the figure. The way I did the spreadsheet is I identified each location and assigned hours to it as I chopped down the contractor's request. Because I'm the one that reviewed it. So for instance, you had one location that there was a cable conflict. That was 3 hours. So I can get the info to Jake that he could break it down in such a manner to identify the utility and the number of hours, which translates to a cost. So there was 2 issues here, as Craig said. One of them was location, which they had to spend more time finding. The other one was where they got to a point and they just couldn't do any more work, and they had to move to another location. That caused a delay. So that's how we divvied all this up. But I can get that info to Jake.
Where did we come? I mean, I'm just curious. How did you break it down? But Flowood and Rankin County. I mean, how'd that break down? Where did we come up with that?
Okay, what I did on the locate issue
anytime the contractor ran up on trying to find a water line or a sewer line and it was not where it was indicated on the plans, some of this system was inherited by Flowwood, so they didn't actually know where it was either. So they'd have to spend more time finding it. That's where we did it under a locate. I assigned those hours to the city of Flowwood. We had a dollar value associated,
Okay.
so that went to Flowwood.
I
If
got
it
it.
was for another utility, power, gas, cable, then I assigned it to the county. Flowwood has agreed to their portion of the $39,000
Right.
that Jake mentioned. And then on the delay side, those were all other utilities, power, gas, cable, phone. Those were all assigned to the county.
Okay.
So
I was
I
just
did-
curious.
That's how I broke it up.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'd say at least try to figure out who your two biggest. Hey, Craig, who is the main utility that keeps coming to us on a regular basis needing something? Who is that? Is it like is it Energy who makes a consistent knock on our door, or Atmos, or Angular?
They're all asking for right-of-way access pretty regularly. Maybe AT&T would be the most frequent flyer. Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Well, let's put it all on AT&T's account, and then we just work it from there and see what we can get out of them.
Who was responsible for inspecting this daily? Who was on the ground out there to do inspections?
Utility-wise was Pickering with my inspector, but that was during the construction progress. That was not prior to any work being done, such as the utilities, such as someone coming out relocating a power line. That was not in our contract.
So if they said, well, the inspector told me to put it right here, or he was there when we were putting it down, or they would be lying or not telling the truth.
Same thing.
Yeah, just the easier way to swallow it. I mean, what do you say?
Well, I mean, as Jake said, all utility companies were furnished a set of plans. There were numerous iterations as they did their roadway stuff and we did water and sewer. But eventually there was a final set of plans that was given to all utilities and said, okay, look, here's where we're going. You need to be out of our way. Because it's our right of way, or county right of way, I'm sorry. I lump myself with y'all on this project. But and then once you get out there and the utility's in the way, and I'd have to say, well, either produce documents that says you had permission to put it out of location, or you bear the cost for whatever it took.
I would like to discuss this with the utilities before we decide that we're going to pay it.
Well, I suggest, let me offer this suggestion. I think Jared and Luke go in this direction. We're going on the hook. It needs to get paid. You know, and everybody's agreed it needs to be paid. Go ahead and pay it, you know, in some form or fashion out of the county. And then we go ahead and work towards allocating out the balance of the $60,000 or whatever utility gets. And you just keep a running file, Mr. Slay, when they show up, you know, with it, that we just gonna keep shipping it down until we get it as close in part, or they can give us something else in kind that we can kind of trade off on that would kind of match up the numbers at the end of the day. But it's not fair to hold up the vendors from the standpoint, I don't think it's not fair to hold up the vendors as a result of something they had no control over that we were kind of.
But we also had no control over
Well,
it.
we did, but so at the end of the day, we were in contract with them. You know, so I would be in favor of going ahead and making the move to pay the $60,000 to the vendor, as long as everybody's in agreement. That's what a good solid number is, with the stipulation that we work towards recouping that 60 from the allocations that y'all come up with down the road.
But I'd like to let that be it. I mean, let this be the final deal. Don't
think
come back and say,
there-
oh, we got something else.
I think we're there.
And we will make that clear, this one final payment.
We were active, these guys were active in coming up with numbers
Okay.
that reflected a total amount of damage. And my understanding is, and Bud's here, that the vendor and Southern Rock have agreed that is the number. All right, Bud? All right. So there's not coming back. This will end that. I would suggest maybe we put this on the 6th to give you guys an opportunity to think
No,
about it.
I'm fine. Yeah, that's fine, because I don't think it's gonna be, it's obviously not gonna be worth a fight as far as the cost we're gonna incur, and I don't see we're gonna accomplish that much. And Flowwood's willing to do their part, and I appreciate that, and I think that's commendable to them. So I think it's just an unfortunate situation we're stuck in, and maybe we get a chance to recoup some of it and try. But I think we need to, like I said, no need holding him up. So if you want to put it on the 6th, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay with that?
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
No problem.
Okay. Before we get to Miss Laura, we'll move back up to public comment, if please. And Miss Madeline has made it here. We've patiently waited on you, and we wanted you to have a grand entrance, so you got it.
In addition to everything else, the horsefly that's loose in my car that accompanied me over here buzzing around my head appreciates it. So it's been a morning. I understood there were some questions about the voting machine project and what we thought about moving forward in timeline. So we had a meeting with the election commissioners and other county personnel yesterday to kind of put our minds together and talk about what we see the process being moving forward. I did put together just a brief estimated timeline. This is, let me do a legal disclaimer even though I'm not a lawyer. This is not anything that is etched in stone because we really haven't had an opportunity to put together all the components yet. But the recommendation that we came up with yesterday is that we will continue to use the current equipment in the November election. And this process takes us through the procurement and then piloting a municipality next year as kind of our pilot rollout of the new equipment, whatever that equipment is.
Well, I think, and that's the reason I wanted you here to explain, because I know there's been some discussion on, or questions with the timeline. You know, I know a lot of people think it's going to happen, be able to make it for the November election. I understood there was going to be some problem to get it in and have it efficiently and working the way we needed it to work to prevent any problems. However, we know we may have some problems with the existing equipment that we have, but that's the reason I wanted to hear and you to explain. And also I'm glad Ms. Boyd was here with us, and Kelly also, because this falls on them, and so they need to, any questions, and also wanted to make sure they agreed and understood, and everybody's on the same page. What I'm getting
Certainly,
at.
yeah.
Because the public is where the questions, and I want to be able to answer those questions to the public,
Yeah.
because that's where we're going to hear it, as well as they are, especially election day. The commissioners will really be bombarded.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about yesterday specifically is risk mitigation. In the system you have today, even though you have problems, they're known problems. You know what to expect. You know what to plan for because you've had this equipment. One of the situations that we see in bringing in brand new equipment is there are a lot of unknowns. Even with the best planning and the best implementation, you're still going to have unknowns on election day. Your voters are moving, possibly, we don't know yet, but possibly moving from a touchscreen system to a paper-based system. There's the voter outreach and education portion of that. There's training your poll managers. You know, outside of the procurement aspect of it, there's all of the implementation that has to happen. And we just felt like after talking about it yesterday, and Kelly and Becky are both in agreement with us on this, that we think the best thing to do is to wait. Everybody knows what you have today. And it gives you time to present the new system, to roll it out in a manner that everyone can get a comfort level with it, and that rather than the initial rollout of a system you'll probably hopefully have for 10 to 15 years being one that could possibly have issues, you want to make sure you have the time and effort put into it so that it's well received from the beginning and can move on and be a successful system for you throughout the whole time frame.
Looks like on the sheet here, you're working towards having it ready to roll for the municipal elections next summer.
Yes.
It looks kind of, you can tell me, I mean, y'all have done a great job of laying it out there, and I applaud y'all for the putting the times in there. But if you deviate any there and it gets extended, that puts that municipal election somewhat of in a bind, maybe, potentially? Was that discussed, I assumed?
Yes. Now this, I do have some extra time built in to this timeline. But because the municipal elections, the primaries are in May and the general elections in June, I mean, that's really what we want to shoot for. We talked about the fact that the procurement, looking at financing, looking at contract negotiations, all the components that go into, once the RFP is written and a decision is made, there's still a lot of work that has to be done. So this is probably an aggressive timeline, but it does have some buffer built in. But it's kind of, the intent is we're serious about this, we move forward, we meet, the agreed to deadlines and move forward. But it does give us, even though we have to have absentee ballots 45 days out for the election, it still gives us some time in that 45 days for training and process documentation. And you'll see in here, there's a lot, especially going to any new system, there's a lot of process documentation. Your election commissioners have to decide how this is going to work, how they're going to train. There's just enough to it that we feel like starting in January actually, that we'll be able to cover that part of it before the real election cycle starts in March.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
No, I guess not. I guess, anything from the back row back here?
I think what Madeline said was right, and I just want to emphasize, when we say that we all agree to wait, we mean we don't want to wait on the process. We want to definitely be continuing, but we just realize that this is June the 2nd, and it would be very, 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 very difficult to get everything done that needs to be done in order for us to use the machines in November. So it's not that we're wanting to wait on the procedure.
Right.
We're just willing to wait to make sure that everything is done the way that it needs to be done.
Sure, and that's the way I take it too. And I don't want to have I hate we're not going to be able to have them for November, but I don't want them to be a mess up either. And that's the reason I wanted y'all all to be involved and have input.
The presidential election is the largest turnout, and I'm like you, the old machines, we know the problems that they cause, we don't know what will be with the new machines, and so it's kind of a catch-22, what do you do? But at least with the old machines, we will be familiar with what's going on.
All right, thank you. Okay.
I have a question. Is the RFP written yet?
No.
What they do in the month of May?
We can ask that afterwards. We're going to move on, Mr. Hayes. You can ask, we can talk about that afterwards.
We were still looking at equipment.
Right.
Last vendor was in May.
Yep. All right, next on the agenda will be Laura Oster, County Administrator.
This morning is the review of the agendas for the 6th. If you don't mind, if we can go ahead and do the Winter Wonderland of Mississippi, so that if they have anywhere else
Sure,
to
that's fine.
be, they can go ahead.
Okay.
So if y'all like to come up.
Hey, I'm Ashley Barnes with AV Live, and we're looking at putting Winter Wonderland here. This is Buck Allman.
He knows a lot more detail about what's going into the facility, so I'm going to let him present to y'all, but I'm going to give y'all the folders that we're looking at.
Thank you. Thank you.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I'm not sure if anyone's been presented with any of this information. I know we had emailed it to several people, and we've been talking with the other county agents and officials for a couple of months now. So we wanted to put everything in front of you guys as far as what we're presenting. I know a lot of you remember Christmas on Ice that was in Madison, put on by Baptist Hospital. This is essentially what this is, moving it to Rankin County. We are partnered with Baptist. They are behind it. They've given us everything as far as their decorations, their website, their full support. Anything that went on with Christmas on Ice in Madison would be moving to Rankin County. The reason for the name change is there was some inner politics inside the hospital with a few disgruntled employees that wanted raises rather than an ice rink built in Madison. So it was just caused a little bit of friction there, which is why Baptist is handing it off to us, so to speak. And we would like to continue that in Rankin County. We're looking at the multi-purpose use facility mainly because it's an indoor facility that could house an ice rink. And the last year that we did the Christmas on Ice in Madison, there were a total of 18 days due to our lovely weather in Mississippi that caused the ice rink to be unusable for the most part. So that was our biggest concern, was trying to find an indoor facility that we could host the event in. I really don't know if, as far as any more presentation, what's not in the packet there, are there any questions that you guys have concerning the event or concerns that you may have that you need answers to?
How's your financing now?
Sponsorships?
Yeah.
And private.
I mean, how's that going, I guess?
Oh, how's it going? Well, we've got a lot of support. The Mississippi Baptist Association is behind it, Baptist Hospital, C-Spire. We have a lot of really big corporate sponsors as well as a lot of private individuals. And we're speaking to a lot of the individuals in town, the city of Brandon, since we're trying to keep it focused and the tax base in Rankin County in this area. As far as police, fire, and we're doing a lot of benefits for them as well, going into a benevolence fund for officers that may need assistance at Christmas or things of that nature. Also, there's a lot of charitable events that we're contributing to. I believe there's a total of eight charitable events or facilities that are specifically focused on children and families that we're focusing on as well.
Did you say Brandon had sponsors some?
The mayor is ecstatic. They're not
ecstatic, but not funding.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of waiting on us too.
Right. It's kind of a waiting process, and we apologize for the manner and the order that it's gone. We were under the assumption that it had already been presented to you guys as for approval and for what the event actually was and is.
I guess the question I have for you, since that's under yours and the sheriff's role, there's no outside costs that we're going to incur, in theory.
No, it's actually they've offered, they're paying for the deputies. We'll have a deputy at each building, if they're open and operated, that we have been paid for, but they're paying for the expenses that
Would be
using your own generators to generate your power. You're not going to use any of our.
Well, there would be power that's used from the facility, but anything above and beyond what normal operating expenses would be, we would take care of that.
Would there be any maintenance that?
Not for the building. There are a couple things that we would need to do as far as making some accommodations, some of the fencing and moving a few things around. And Sheriff Bailey's offered to have 20 inmates that we can use.
There's an event, I think when we say Saturday or Sunday.
Yes, sir.
And since it's over Sunday, we're going to get a roller from the road department, roll it, and have inmates over there try to flatten everything down, so we'll go ahead and start stalling Sunday night. Go ahead and get the floor in there, the skating rink floor, but outside that, after that floor is installed, there shouldn't be any maintenance. The only issue I think that came up was there's a 4-H event.
Right. We have
sometime during the time they have it rented, but we're going to make accommodations for parking for the 4-H, for everybody involved in 4-H. I think another concern is with all those people coming in and out that they're concerned about their animals. People messing with their animals or something. I'll have a deputy over here to make sure everybody stays away from the animals and different things like that.
So once the floor goes down,
we won't have to.
Now, what we'll do is we're going to cover the whole arena in it's a turf matting. It's what they use when it's actually considered an environmental solution. So if the military or large contractors need to drive heavy equipment through a swamp, this is what they use. Supports of 140,000 pounds per linear foot, and that's what we go on the floor, just to protect the sand and to protect, after 30 to 45 days, 50 days of people walking on even compacted sand and dirt, it's going to be a mess. So we're going to cover the entire arena floor in that manner, just to prevent any other issues or any maintenance that we would potentially have, or as a result of just having loose dirt. So it would be a solid floor. Plus, as there would be ice skates. We want to make sure everybody's safe and make sure we don't have any or as few accidents as possible, and that's going to help us in that aspect as well.
Sorry.
More concern that somebody brought up is that after that period of time with that floor being there, how compact the dirt's going to be and everything like that. Again, we'll have a crew inmates over there. I have a tractor. There's a tractor already there. It should be bottom off.
Oh, we'll till it, yeah, we can till it up.
Yeah, the dirt will be reconditioned. It's no different than when we change it out for a quarter horse event or a bull riding event. The different dirt textures that they require for the different events. So I know a lot of you guys know. My family, we grew up, horses and arenas and cattle and things like that doing rodeos. So I'm very sensitive to that need. I don't want to inconvenience anybody or make somebody feel like they're being put out in that aspect, and they can't come and ride their horse. So that's what the practice arena and everything will be for. It will be open for them. We will make accommodations for them to park their horse trailers, so nobody will be inconvenienced in that aspect either.
So there's not any conflicting events that we have already on the book?
Not other than the 4-H that's going to be accommodated.
Right. And the 4-H has agreed to use the practice arena, and we will incur the cost of putting a sound system in there and doing anything else that they need to accommodate them to make their event, what they expect it to be.
Well, that comment I've got, you made a comment about over and above the normal operating expenses. We just need to make sure we have a delineation of what that is on the front end, as opposed to us trying to figure that in on the back end.
I think we're going to try to work it into the contract. That's what we had discussed.
And I can get them the figures, the average right now. We need to put that in there.
I think just a question, I'm not trying to get in.
Oh, no, please go ahead.
They're bringing generators in, so I think the amount of power you use, so the bulk of the power I think is going to be running off that generator.
We'll have some going off the building.
Lights and
I mean, we're getting, what, $500 a day for the facility. I don't know what you're getting for your side of it. Does that cover yours too, or is that your side?
No, his will be separate.
Separate, okay.
Yeah. Sounds like you've covered all your bases well, and I think it's a great thing for City of Brandon and Rankin County.
I think it's a great thing for the city, for the county, for everybody as a whole, especially given some of the negative media that Mississippi has gotten as of late in certain aspects, as far as bringing everybody together and promoting it, something that's very positive. And I would much rather that my home county of Rankin County benefit from it and Madison
What
County.
were the dates? What were the dates?
It will be starting on December the 15th and ending on February 5th.
Well, this says
We're going to move
5th.
out a day early
Yeah.
because of the Dixie National.
Right, the Dixie National Rodeo's
Oh,
moved
so
it
we'll
in.
this will be the 3rd.
It's actually going to move up a day. We've
Right,
got to clear
okay.
out the time for them to be able to use the facility.
Okay. Good deal.
How's your
On my
grandmother?
Birthday, that's where she'll go.
She is
Her
in
birthday
surgery right
present.
now. As soon as we leave here, we're headed over there. Mom was taking Granddaddy to the hospital right now while Daddy was taking a load of cattle to the sale. So as soon as he finishes at the sale, then we're headed over to he's headed to the hospital as well.
All right.
So we think she's going to be all right. It was a fracture, not a major break. So.
What is the next step we need to, Craig? We need to approve it or
I
vote on
believe
it or
they
do a
will
contract?
present us with a contract.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we have
That will
the county's contract, and we have ours as well,
Yes.
and we can get with Craig and whatever we need to do as far as
Discussion.
do any addendums
I would
or
suggest-
modifications.
Maybe we just put it on the 6th, and you guys authorize the use of the facility contingent upon an acceptable contract being
Right.
entered into.
Okay.
Like plan.
Sounds
Put it on the
good.
6th.
Would you like that to do any addendums or modifications or anything, or do you want that just to come from our end?
Yeah, just, if y'all would just get me the proposed contract, I can review it.
Absolutely.
And, just whatever issues that there may be, we can deal with those after the fact. They can approve the use contingent upon the contract being executed.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Laura, while we're here, you want to go and discuss this PERS deal? Or you want to?
Well, I don't really know what they wanted to discuss because I didn't put this on here. I understand the constables were going to be here because they had questions and concerns.
Well,
so I'm ready to address it.
well,
I'm just not sure what their problems
okay,
were.
I think was it, and I think I asked to put it on there because I knew y'all probably in the dark on it, and actually I need to be, I guess, revived, re-educated on it. But I remember there was an issue, and there was. Then they couldn't do it, and we couldn't do it, and then so it's come back up.
Back in 2013, Senate Bill 2405 authorized the counties to pay the employer-required portion of the contributions on the net fee income of the constables. And it's you may. And the net fee, what that means is after they file their annual financial statement and have all their expenses deducted, they pay 11% during the year. If they owe anything at the end of that time period, say they owe $2,000, we would then be allowed to pay the employer portion of the amount they owe at the end of the year. We've already put them on payroll, and 82 counties do it differently. Some counties are paying them through payroll. Other counties are still giving them a 1099, paying them through claims. And the only thing we all consistently do is through the PERS regulation. They came up with this percentage. 11% is paid in by the constables. And why they did that is they felt somehow in their calculations that that was a reasonable percentage for them to pay due to their expenses coming off at the end of the year off of their gross income. Sometimes they get money back, depending on what they claim as expenses during the year.
Right.
Sometimes they pay in. This Senate bill gives the county the authority to pay the employer portion on the net fee in their income, the net fee, not their gross amount. The other side of the coin is all counties have not put them through payroll. They shortly will be because there was a lawsuit between constables in Pennsylvania. Apparently Pennsylvania handles their constables exactly like the state of Mississippi does. And they wanted to be treated as employees, so apparently there's a ruling coming down that says they will be put on payroll, receive a W-2, only for the purpose of paying their FICA, holding out their federal taxes. We already do that. All of ours are on payroll. They receive a W-2. The only thing that won't change is, until PERS changes something, the 11% will remain intact. They pay the 11% until the end of the year, and then we can pay on any type of overage.
Can I jump in and just
Certainly
make sure
may.
you guys are plugged square into the issue here? Constables are fee-based.
That's right.
Okay. They're not regular employees.
Right.
That's why we're talking about them. That's why
But
it's
we
a little
have,
bit of an
we have
odd-
other elected people that are fee-based also.
Correct.
That's right, such as
Correct.
the chancery
Yeah.
clerk, circuit clerk.
Okay.
Constables have a little bit of a specialized section over here in the statutes, and so sometimes there's some unique features to how they get handled. And there are a bunch of counties still in Mississippi who treat them as 1099, not as regular county employees. They fold them in and send them a 1099 at the end of the year. Okay? So that is changing as the issue of the federal government and its desire to have FICA, Medicare, all of that withheld and remitted like any other, quote, employee. So they're moving closer towards an employee status as opposed to just a fee-based, separate, independent contractor type. But by doing that, it's creating some issues about how we treat them for PERS. So what we did in 2013 was, when this bill got passed, it looked like at first reading, and we weren't alone in this,
No.
other counties took the same view. It looked like, okay, now, if the board finds that it's appropriate to do so, we can start picking up the employer part of the PERS contribution.
So Ms. Laura started doing that, just like any other county employee. 15.75% of the employer side started getting remitted, and their 9.5 got remitted, right?
9.
So 9 got remitted. And PERS, when they started getting the money, PERS said, whoa, wait a minute. This ain't adding up in our system. And so PERS put a stop to it with a sister county, said, y'all stop doing that and go back to the old way, which is
11%.
make the constables pay 11% of their gross monthly into PERS, and we will settle up at the end of the year when they submit their net fee income report. And if they have overpaid, then there will be a refund. And if they have underpaid, then and only then, county, can you kick in the, quote, county's part of the underpayment. You follow that? So we had to stop what we were doing and go back to the old way. And because of that, you've still got the constables saying, the darn bill got passed, how come y'all aren't, why is the county not doing what the bill says they do?
Yeah.
Because PERS says that ain't what the bill says.
Did we pay the the underpay from this past tax year for these constables?
If anybody brings it to me,
Have they?
we would have, but nobody has given me any information.
Have we let them know that we would?
Yes.
Well, why are they
Yes,
talking,
because
why
we
are
did
they all
it
talking about it
last
now?
year.
Why are they all bringing it back up now?
I don't know. That's what I said.
See,
I don't understand.
That's what, see, this is the way I remember it. We started, realized we couldn't do it, and I couldn't explain it exactly. I just said, well, there was a reason we couldn't do it.
And part of what I've done that you'll see on the agenda for
I saw that.
Monday under me, back in 13, when we made that statement on the, Jared, you'll remember this, on the minutes, that we said we would pay it. Y'all negotiated at that time with the constables to withhold their allowance for lost costs, the $1,800 that they get paid in December. We didn't pay them in December. Well, all of a sudden PERS calls us and they said, you can't withhold that. You have to pay them that by statute.
Yep.
You've got to give them their 18. You can't cut that deal.
And send us our part of PERS
And send
off of
us,
that.
that's right.
So we had to back up and do it anyway.
So we sent that back, which only left the fact that we could pay on their net fee our portion of it. So what PERS said that they need from us, this is just a clarification. They said we need a copy of your board minutes saying that you're going to pay your portion, if there is any owed, that you're going to pay it, but we can't take your copy of the minutes that says you're going to withhold their $1,800 because you can't do that. So this statement on here is just saying we're going to follow the law. If they owe anything at the end of the year, the county will pay the employer's portion on that net.
But it sounds like almost they need to, we need
I've
to have them
explained
in
it.
here to explain it all.
I've
Yeah.
explained it to them before, and last year, several of them owed, and we paid the employer portion of it. This year, nobody has come to me saying, I owe, will you pay?
They have me.
So if they owe, let's say they're under the level, so they owe $2,500 to fulfill that 11%. We can pay a percentage.
We can pay the employer's percentage, which is 15.75
of that
$2,000.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Well,
And then they pay the balance.
Well, I think I don't know how to clear it up because they need to be here and
They just
go
need to
through
come
it.
in.
They just need to come in here.
Y'all explain
but
it
you
to
see,
them.
that's exactly why I wanted it on there, because there's no way I could explain all that to you, and it was a,
Well, and you need all 5 of them.
yeah, we need them all, right, because they,
But we're doing everything legally and by statute.
Yes.
We're
That's-
following PERS guidance.
with PERS telling us what we can.
As late as yesterday.
And the board's doing everything the law will let us do to help.
That is correct.
Yeah.
We can't do any more, I guess legally.
Right.
And as
Right.
late as yesterday, I talked to
tried.
PERS, and I talked to the girl that specifically works over the constable portion of it. And I went over all this with her, and I said, since this Senate Bill 2405, has there been anything else that has come out that would give us the authority to do more? Because we've been told that other counties are doing it. She said, no, absolutely not. This was the last thing that came out in 2013, and there has been Nothing done since that time that would give us any authority contrary to this.
I'm wondering if these guys have been misinformed that
They're talking to their buddies.
That we're
in
gonna
other
pay
counties, I guess. Yeah.
anything that's short, that we'll pay 100% of it. Not, I think they may
Yeah,
feel that way.
And I think
not the
and I think they're talking
11 or 15%.
to other counties, other constables that are out there and say, this is what we're getting, and they're comparing and they're getting it all mixed up.
Well, the $1,800 deal, I never did really understand it. Is because, and really because of the timing that was paid, which was right at Christmas. We just kind of joked as it being a Christmas bonus.
Yeah.
But, so we kind of did a deal with that, and then we found out it kind of came back and bit us in the tail. We had to go pay it anyway. So, all right, to resolve this, do we need to ask them all to come and at when? And I mean, I hate to have to start all this all over the board meeting.
Sometimes it's hard to get them all in here. If you would like, I will send them a detailed email or try to make time if they can all come, and I'll meet with them. And I'll go over all this and I'll explain it to them.
That sounds good. And if they would rather, if they'd like to come at a work session where they can discuss it and whatever, even after you do that, let's set them up to come at a work session at the end of the month. Well, I want to be open with them and want them to know we're doing everything that we can. I just want them to understand, because I think we are. So I'm glad we had a discussion.
And,
so y'all
and last
understand
year,
that.
I can show you where we did pay a portion for several of them that owed. This year, we have paid nothing. It's not been brought to my attention that anybody owed any money or requested that we pay.
We couldn't be a part of the process to know, I guess we couldn't be a part of the process to know whether they over or underpaid. That notification is going to go to them, isn't it?
If there's a check involved, it comes to us, and they make us remit.
And
But I don't know that we get a notification if they
on
owe.
an under, I don't think we get notified.
Okay.
They'd have to tell us.
Goes to
All right,
them.
well, you covered, and that's the reason I wanted it on there, because I know there's been a couple emails questioning, explaining. Okay.
You can just refer to this YouTube video, yeah?
Okay.
There you go. All right, well, okay.
Anything else y'all have, looking over your agendas, any questions?
Actually, I never really looked. Well, I did look at it yesterday. I didn't really have any, I don't think.
Our ambulance service is up, working well. That guy's grandmother failed, and I didn't put it all together until I figured out who he was. His aunt sent me a text message. Their grandmother fell, broke her hip last night, and in less than 20 minutes, ambulance picked her up, and they were very happy with the care. And at that same location, not 3 miles from there, 2 other calls last year and year before were an hour, and the other was an hour and 44 minutes.
Well,
So we have.
Yeah, let's give them time, though.
They started off.
We want to take advantage of it while we can.
Everything's good while it's new.
Brag
I think they turned close to 30 runs yesterday.
30?
And that's counting Brandon and Pearl, but it was just a little over 30. It was
Wow.
a 24-hour run call on that. So, and I say 24 hours. It didn't start till noon yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're not at noon yet, so they've turned 30 as of this morning.
I got a question, Laura.
We're gonna beat that number. It ain't gonna matter.
The under you where it's got the lease purchase for the case backhoes.
Yes.
Do we usually do them? We don't always do them that way, do we?
Yes. Typically, we lease our equipment.
Well, I knew we did that, but I thought it was strictly on the buyback deal. I didn't realize. I don't guess I remember seeing this on here before. Okay. All right.
The buyback stuff with the market dropping on equipment, Derek, are we going to be as well off as we have been in the past, where we have a certain dollar amount? I mean,
Philip did real good. He got 50,000 at auction on one this week, and then I believe the other one got 40. And I believe guaranteed was 40, so we actually got a little bit more than
What we usually do, Steve, what the auction companies have done for us, if
guaranteed
they guarantee us
a higher percentage.
Guarantee us, and if they don't get it, we don't have to pay
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
You can either pay off your balloon note
Right.
at the end,
Yep.
put it back in and go again. But what we have found is usually every year they're taken to auction and we get
Make a little
more.
more than this buyback.
Right.
Now, last year, there was a slump or something in it,
Yeah.
and we did have a few that
Yeah.
we lost a little bit on, not much.
Well, that's why I was wondering
Because
how
that's
that
a
trend
chance
was
we
going
take.
now.
But every other year, we
Well, they still guarantee us it's a no loss, no way to lose on that.
Well, I mean, if the auction company says the most we can guarantee you is 35,000, then we're not gonna make any money if we send it back and they give us 40. And what I was saying, in years past, we've been able to make a little money
Right.
on this used equipment because of the market.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, if this buyback was 40, the auction company's gonna guarantee you more than the 40, if you take it to them.
Even if the market's less than that? I mean, even if it's not.
We know our buyback, yeah, we wouldn't even take it if our
Right, that's what I'm saying.
buyback-
We would just not be participating in that end of it.
Right, and it's not gonna cost us to take it if.
Yeah, if
you
we know, yeah.
Right, yeah, we know we're gonna get, let's just say 40.
Oh.
But we've been able to get more, so
Yeah.
it's been a sweet deal to me. And you
Tell me-
explain it to people, they're really pleased.
Tell me this, I mean, most of y'all have way more experience in this road equipment and, road maintenance. We have, somewhere around 250 to 300 miles of rural or county chip seal roads. And a chip seal machine is gonna run 175,000, something. And I watched them do a chip seal road that was about a mile. And it took 5 months last summer under ideal conditions. We had almost no rain for 3 months nearly. The ground was perfect. I mean, everybody says, well, a chip seal is all about you getting the ground right before you ever put it on there. Well, it was right. It was as right as it can be. And it was less than a year ago. And we're out there patching it this past week. So the chip seal is not doing very well. I mean, this road is breaking down before it's a year old, and we spend $160,000, $180,000 on a machine. We don't have one now. We got to buy one. And then our miles of chip seal county roads are not that. When you say 250 to 300.
Exactly, Steve, we tallied it this week, it's 148, it's not near as much
Oh,
as
Lord.
Buster's road plan.
148?
And that's a very interesting.
Think about these numbers. If we do not buy a chip seal machine and we pave these roads, if we don't get but a year or two out of a chip seal road, and this one was ideal, and they're already back there patching with blacktop now, and it's less than a year.
Was it dirt? Was it dirt when they chip sealed it?
No, it'd been chip sealed before.
Yeah.
Or maybe twice before.
Yeah, my roads that I am on is chip sealed. It's been that way. I guess we did it 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Well, this was less than a year, and they took it down and really worked that road.
Steve got some
About
bad
6 years.
dirt up there.
And hey, you don't have to put it on me. The other people live out there too. But anyhow, I don't know if we're using our resources and money. I mean, it seems, well, it's cheaper, I know, by mile to chip seal a road. But if you're back in there reworking it every year or two,
Right.
and the crews that it
Thank y'all.
takes to chip seal, I mean, think about right now, and I've kind of went where they had construction going and things like that. These guys are working their tails off all over the county, and I don't know how you could break them loose and take 7 or 8 of them out there to chip seal a road when it takes so much, taking it down and then getting the foundation right, bringing it back. I mean, I feel like if we do get a chip seal machine, and I mean, we got roads we need to fix, and we start using all those resources, they're going to come from somewhere. They're not going to be in Daniel's district fixing things up there, or Jared's, or whatever. They're going to have to be right there with that chip seal, where when we do overlaying, then we contract most of that out, and we don't take away from our crews. But right now, they're not those guys aren't sitting under a shade tree somewhere or,
No.
I mean, they're working and they're getting behind. They're not really catching up. We've got as much stuff on the to-do list the next day as they had today.
In my opinion, if we committed to converting our chip seal roads over to blacktop, just running the numbers, 148 miles, you're looking at $14 million to overlay those. So I'm of the opinion that, like you said, Steve, if we invest in a chip seal, then let's keep up our chip seal roads and use that machine. But, it would take a long time to make a dent in those chip seal roads and overlaying. But if you started now dedicating funds to overlaying those roads, I'm all for. I think that's a great idea because, like Steve said, it takes my entire construction crew to run a chip seal. We plan on getting it started early next spring, and I imagine that we're going to be chip sealing for at least 6 months straight. And when we're chip sealing, we're not able to prep.
We've been doing that in the past, Derek. We hadn't been chip sealing 6 months straight.
Well, the problem right now, though, is because our chip sealers down, we've got so many.
We're going to be a year behind.
Building, we're getting behind right now.
We hadn't had any chip seal since last fall, and we're not going to get any this year.
We hadn't run into that problem in the past. I don't know what we're doing.
But see, we don't have a machine, Jared.
Huh?
We don't have a machine this year. They're going to be a year starting next year. We'll be a
not
whole
6 months.
Huh?
Not 6 months.
We're going to be a year behind.
No, I'm talking about. He's talking about taking 6 months to get it done. I don't
know. I mean, we're skipping a year worth of maintenance.
Well, I mean, that number's talking out loud. That's just there's the road, the list is not getting any smaller. We weren't able to do any reclamation this year. I know Bob's got several roads that he wants to reclaim. So it's a process, As soon as we get ready to chip seal, we're going to look at renting and reclaim, and going there and reclaim those roads and seal them back. But
I think
you're going to reclaim a chip seal road.
Yes, there are some.
How far are you going to cut it down, though?
I can't.
Because some of them aren't that thick anyway.
Right. I give you Johnson Quarters in Steve's district is on top, towards the top of the list for reclamation. That road is there's just about nothing left of it right now, and the only option is to reclaim it before we chip seal it. It's a patchwork. It's like a quilt with patchwork. But I mean, a lot of it has to do with the subgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree. If the county puts the money into chip sealing, then we are dedicated to chip sealing these roads that are currently chip sealed. But if the board wanted to go in the direction to start minimizing the amount of chip seal roads towards black.
Well, I would just like us to look at the resources that we put into chip seal, and then how much do we really get out of it if you compared it to ditching the chip seal and going with a contract overlay or whatever.
But if your base is not good,
but it's not going to work on either one of us.
And you got a good bit of prairie dirt up that way. I mean, we got a place up there. I know it's hard to have it stable, and sometimes, but But still, the base has got to be good on whatever you use. I mean, you put out that asphalt, and you don't have a base, you're gonna have a mess there too.
Well, the roads that were overlaid in the last year or two are in a lot better shape than those that were chip sealed. A lot better.
The only advantage to the chip sealing is where we pay a contractor to come in there and overlay. We internally have that chip seal. Even though we don't want to yearly go out and chip seal that road, that if it does fail, we can just jump right back out there and chip seal it again.
Well, what we've done some in the past, I know we've chip sealed say a newer type road, and then let that set up as a base, and it made a good base, then come back later with an asphalt, because I know like Poplar Springs, that was an old gravel road, and we've chip sealed it, and it made them a decent road, but then it has given up in places. But the thing is, where it gave up is easier to patch them that way than if they gave up with asphalt on them. Then you got a mess. So then you can find your bad places, and once you get them in better shape, then you can you got a good base with the chip seal to come back and overlay.
And it's hard to decide too, because we're always gonna have asphalt roads that need overlay that are in bad shape too. Obviously, that money's gotta come somewhere, so you've gotta take it
Yeah.
away.
The thing about the chip seal, in some places you can spread it out. I know some of these, what I call in and out roads, they're dead end. There's this, maybe 12 families live on them, but the main traffic is just them going in and out. In some of the heavy rural area, the chip seal has worked out real well for them where they were gravel. But they had a decent base. So, and some places did give up where the garbage truck, etc. And we've had to go in and do some work on them. But what I was getting at is you could do that for about $35,000, $40,000 a mile versus $100,000.
It is a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And I believe we got, at least somebody told me, we got close to 15, 16 years out of our last chip sealer. So we would hope that we would get a minimum of 10 plus years out of it, maybe more. So
yeah,
I totally agree with that. I mean,
the slag, the 610 is much better than the way they used to do it back in the day with pea gravel. It sets up real well.
In a sense, it is a little bit more flexible than the asphalt, depending on how thick your bridge you're at.
Well, with the asphalt and the 610, it makes a good base.
And again, too, it's going to depend, obviously, if there's development on a chip seal road, then there's going to be special cases where you get heavy traffic, and it's just not going to be able to hold up.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to look at a special case, we're just not to overlay it. We have to go in and do some subgrade work, so it's just got several factors in place. But I agree, I'm mindset, when we buy that chip seal machine, we're dedicated to chip seal, we're going to use it, so.
Well, Derek, can you do some type of a cost analysis over like a 4-year, you can't do it for 1 year. That's not gonna be a true look at it, and just see how much are we really saving with chip seal?
I will. I'm interested to see, how long it would take to put a dent. And I'm encouraged that we only have 148 miles.
Yeah.
I thought it was closer to 200 or 300.
I thought it was 250.
What about this? We can't make the conversion automatic even if we want to do it. It's just too expensive. We'll have to get chip sealed anyway to get us the next 5 to 7 years, 8 years, and we start a plan of start asphalting. We start like, but essentially, and good news about this is if we get it there sooner than later, then we can always sell the chip seal machine to use to other counties that are still using chip seals. Would love a used one, may get some decent money back, may not. Who knows?
Well, yeah. I know.
I just don't. I see what you're asking, but I also don't want to get him bogged down in a process that, as far as trying to do cost efficiency analysis, that I'm not really
he
sure.
He likes the computer
Well,
numbers.
he march on.
I like asphalt a lot better, but more problem.
Well, sure, everybody loves that better too. But
What else? Anything else?
I don't think anything else on the agenda. Anybody have a question, consent, or anything? If not, guess not. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion adjourned by who? Mr. Gaines? Okay, second Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Be back Monday.
We did, we adjourned.